Hello and welcome to Supply Chain Africa News. My name is Wandabo Wanyama. Today we are delighted to have Mr. Bernard Mukundi, who has worked with reputable organizations in different industries, which includes manufacturing, construction, engineering, aviation, and currently he's the health sector. Our main topic of discussion is how supply chain can promote service delivery to its clients. Welcome, Mr. Bernard.
Thank you so much, Wadabo. Okay. It's my pleasure to be here to talk about supply chain and more specifically in Africa, which is our continent.
Okay. Kindly introduce yourself to our viewers. Who is Bernard Mukundi?
Thank you. I think I would summarize my introduction by saying that I'm a trained and a licensed practitioner who does procurement and supply chain. Okay. Having been in the industry for the last 20 years. In fact, it's my date on 4th of August. That's when I'll clock 20 years being in the industry.
As Supply Chain Africa, we shall make sure that we celebrate the same milestone with you. Yeah. So tell us, how did you find yourself in supply chain?
Let me say it's a coincidence of readiness and opportunity. That back then in the year 2001, I found myself having an opportunity to work in one of the manufacturing company. And fortunately, where I was also assigned work was within the warehouses. So I started from there, and that's when I got passion that actually I can be able to do this work. Of course, that time there was no bit of supply chain. It was not that established or elaborate, and it has grown over ages now. So then I think I would say that that's how I came to find myself in supply chain. Okay. Yes.
Looking back from where you started and where you are today, how has it been so far?
It has been interesting, and it's a career that I am proud of the journey that I walked. First is that I have gone in all the sectors of the supply chain, where we can talk about from warehousing to logistics to procurement itself to contracting and even to expediting and make sure that you have delivered what is right. So having gone all through all the areas that touches on supply chain, I think it's an area that I can say it will be quite interesting. And as a professional, I would encourage anyone else would be willing to serve, because it's about service. Okay. You are ready to serve, you are then able to be in the right place.
You've said that you found yourself in supply chain by chance. Here you are in the construction industry, you had the opportunity of being an engineer. Why did you choose supply chain?
I think if I look at my background, I consider myself that my family, which is a bit large, and the siblings and how we are brought up, we didn't have adequate of resources, so there was limitation of resources. Therefore, whatever I was to get, I had to make sure that at least to date, it's of value, and I get what is of value. So having been all these industries, what I find myself comfortable doing is when I give that product, when I give that service to those who are in the forefront, like the backup. So I'm in the backup, giving those who are in the forefront to fight or to be able to push what the industry need. So I like that. I like being the background where I'm providing, where I'm pushing, to be able to help the frontliners to be able to work best. So it's despite having gone to different industries, I still find myself comfortable doing supply chain management.
Okay. Talking about service delivery, which is our main topic, you've been in the public sector, right now you're in the private sector. Looking at it from a point of service delivery, why is there a big gap between the two?
I think one is about the framework, how they have been framed, both of them. The public sector, I find it is more of the legal way to do things. And when I look at this private sector, it's more about what are we delivering and connecting with the product we want to deliver and how efficient it to be delivered. So I think this is a bit of the framework, how they are framed. In the public industry, you realize is about the government want to provide ABCD as a core mandate of its service to the citizen. But in the private sector, it's about we want to make value for what we are doing. So I think that's a bit of it, but essentially the practice is the same across the board.
Okay.
Yes.
You're speaking from a point of you've been there in the both sides. Yes. What can the public sector learn from the private sector in terms of service delivery now?
One, I think, is speed. Not to say that the processes that are taken in the public sector are quite unnecessary, they are very necessary. But I think in terms of speed, there is more speed that can be increased in the public sector to deliver a product. Of course, you have to realize that they have to be the budgeting, they have to be planning, they have to be executing those plans. But the speed of doing those is actually what can be improved and can actually match what is in the private sector.
Okay. Most low and middle income countries have faced challenges when it comes to storage, the infrastructure setup, storage, transport. How can these countries position themselves to an extent that, you know, with these challenges, they can still give best services to its citizens?
Thank you, Wadaba. I think one of the things that we cannot exhaust is provision of all the services that we require in this world. So there will always be inadequate of something. So the inadequate of infrastructure in most of the countries, especially in Africa, is a challenge, yes. But I see it as a very big opportunity, especially for supply chain practitioners and people in supply chain, because they're supposed to provide solutions to that. So one of the ways there can be combined warehousing, which is an initiative that many organizations have not planned. If you look at the ancient industries, there was a lot of, every industry want to create its own warehouse. But I think going forward, we should be able to look at how can we combine the warehouses that we have and be able to utilize. The other initiatives that we can do, like even buying together, we can combine, we can pool our resources. For example, in the health sector, if we are buying the same product, I think there is an opportunity where you can be able to combine and buy the same product. For example, now we are buying, or we have the COVID-19 challenge that is there. There are some common products or common drugs or common pharmaceuticals that are required. That's an opportunity where industries can come together, companies can come together to be able to buy as a bulk and be able to put together and be able to do that. I also look at governments. I think in the past, there have been a lot of more of competition. This country want to compete against the other one on infrastructure development. There's a big opportunity if they're able to pull out. So collaboration is the only solution that can help us. Competition, for me, is not what I like. I like collaboration. And I think that's where we are.
But someone will argue that competition, you know, gives the best of you.
It is good. Competition is there. But I think when you collaborate, you're able even to get, there are some resources that you're going to be able to share. For example, let's say research and development. You don't have to keep every company to have its own research development, let's say, department. But you can be able to put some research together. And once you get the product, then because what happens is that the product could actually be offering the same end results. If you're looking for a product to quench thirst, people come with different products. But at the end of the day, what are they curing? They're quenching the thirst. So in that case, then, what will change is the flavor, is the color, and all that, and the packaging. So if they could have put their resources together by doing the research on what does the consumer want, then it's easier then to work together and say, at only the point of branding, the point of now distinguishing our product in the market, that we shall now go different ways. And I have seen, if you look at, for example, the aviation where I've been for longer, the products, the engine, or the components that are used in one aircraft, if it's the same type of aircraft, that component can be borrowed from any airline and you can be able to use in any aircraft. So there is no much of that. The competition now come to where you segment and say, this is our product, this is our differentiator, this is our customer service. We are differentiated by how we offer our product. I think that's what I would say.
Coming from a private sector, someone will just easily argue out that, you know, it's competition that has brought out the best out of these institutions. And then the public sector, now that there is none you're competing with, you don't care.
No, there is competition all over. Because even if you are not competing, maybe you're offering the same government product or government services. I think there is need that when you go to this government office or this institution, you'll feel you have been treated better than the other one. So competition is there, and you cannot ignore it. Even if you're branded the same, or you're even within the same institution, you have different offices, competition cannot be ignored. But the competition should be collaborative competition or positive competition. The challenge has been where we do go negative competition and we want to pull your products down, we want to pull your services down. That is what does not work well. I think if industries and companies are able to collaborate on where they can be able to have synergies, they can be able to move much more ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you talk about this, somebody probably at home will feel like, yeah, it's easy, it's something doable. But in real life, it's not happening.
It's true. It doesn't happen because people are wired differently. And I think it also goes back to our training background. If you are trained by someone who sees competition is the only way to overcome the other competitor or the other industry provider, then you definitely just be thinking about that. But when you look at it from the other angle, that competition can be actually be positive. And you can be able to look at it in terms of what are we competing on? Are we competing on the product, service? Are we competing on the delivery? Because if you can have the same product but deliver differently. Are we competing on how quick are we able to turn around our clients' requirement? So competition should be anchored, and it should actually, for me, it's not. You should strengthen the areas that you are strong at. If you are strong in customer service, then do it. If you are stronger in giving discounts, then strengthen that. Okay. Yes.
You've been in supply chain for almost 20 years now. How can this supply chain be designed in a way to improve service delivery to the common mwananchi?
Thank you. I think once, the first thing is, even for the people who are practicing supply chain, to understand that their role is actually not to convert the needs of the users, because many people look at it like as the internal user who needs this product. The best thing is to look at the end product, consumer. Who shall use this product? Who shall be the last person to be touched by this? And when you look at that, then it's possible to say that in supply chain, and what you do as a supply chain practitioner, it's best to look at the end point of where the service and the goods will end at. Yeah.
You've been in supply chain, and right now you're specializing with warehousing. One of those challenges that people have had in supply chain is warehousing. How can people design their warehouses to suit their needs?
Thank you, Adaba. I think the first thing is to also to understand you want to warehouse. What are the products? You have to understand what product you are warehousing, and how design then the warehouse inventory need to be able to adequately keep your product safe, secure, and actually they will not get deteriorated. That does not mean that you have to have a bigger warehouse. It all means that you need to have good parameters that are put in place to make sure that you don't overstock, you don't understock, so that you have stock variation should not be what carries the book. And I know many companies will maybe look at it from a point of when you have too much inventory, that's the best because then we are holding too much money. But it's not the best. It actually shows that if you have too much inventory, then there's a problem, because any inventory must match what you are selling out and what you are giving out. So the design of the house matters with the product that you are storing. If you are storing pharmaceutical product, if you are storing food product, or if it's actually goods like in the construction industry, where you're putting cement and all that, then you have to make sure that they are adequately. And the design should also be able to access. How easy are you able to access that warehouse? Using all the equipment that you have, whether it's a forklift, whether it's a pallet jacks, you need to design that. But what I find is that many companies start thinking about warehouse later. For me, my challenge I would give to any business or industry leaders is to think of what is the product you want, even before you design the office. Maybe you can come up with a makeshift office, but then the warehouse matters a lot. If it's a product that you need to not keep, then work with distributors. You can work with distributors who have warehouses, so you don't have to invest by having your own warehouse. Because space is also limited, as we talk about limitation of resources.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to take a short break, then we shall come back. We will talk about how these, the low and middle income countries can abandon their traditional systems of warehousing to the new or the modern ones.